Hi, welcome everybody. This is your Golden Door Friday night speaker series. I'm Rona Elliott and I'm really thrilled to have you here. I am a longtime Golden Door guest. I've been coming here since 1975 when people used to wear leotards and nobody looked good in them. So things have improved a lot. But really I'm excited because it's my pleasure to introduce a close friend of mine, but more than that, a woman whose work and whose vision I really respect, Doris Raymond. So let me share a few things about Doris. Some of it was covered in here, so I'm going to jump ahead. When I was talking to her about how this happened to her, how did this door open up to you, she said she was growing up in the late 60s. She was about 15 years old. And in order to dress herself because of her family's circumstances, she learned the ins and outs of thrift stores. And specifically what her quote was, is it was a necessity, not a hobby. A necessity. So she had no money, got to go to the thrift stores. And so a future career was born out of that, which I find just remarkable. So you're self-taught, self-educated, and she turned this eye that she had into an incredible life in the world of beauty, clothing, design, fashion, and I think more than any other quality is excellence. She has an eye for excellence. So welcome to being here. So what are you wearing? And then I'm going to ask you what I'm wearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I love to mix and match contemporary with vintage because it's a way for me to make a personal statement. I'm not really into uniforms. People wearing from head to toe one thing. It's my preference. But I'm a huge fan of Ralph Rucci, who has a clothing line called Chato Ralph Rucci. And sadly, his company came to an end last year because of, I guess, investors. But he's the only American that was actually accepted into the Chambre Syndicale. I can't say the French name, but it's the couture chamber syndicate that you have to approve very stringent guidelines. So I consider his clothing to be collectible, but it's really the hand that he uses to create things. You'll see it's all hand done. But, and then my necklace is well over 100 years old, and it's rock crystal with banded agate. And I've got a contemporary neck thing holding it.
So at what point did you say after what we've seen in the tape, this is my path, I know what I'm doing?
That's a tough question. I think when I opened my store, in San Francisco, I had a store there from 1981 to 1992, and then I went underground and did just film and TV rentals. I think around the time that I went underground, I thought I had like world-class Academy Award-winning costume designers coming to me for wardrobe, and it was really a great acknowledgement to the fact that I knew what I was doing.
And was there a moment that you realized I could have a career?
I've never really thought of it as a career because I use the line "every day is Christmas." I never know what's going to walk in the store, because people come with things to sell to me, and I don't know who's going to walk in. Like this past week, we had the privilege, or a week and a half ago, Scarlett Johansson came in, and we get a lot of really interesting people. But more than that, because I was underground and just kind of doing it casually in San Francisco, the fact that I was able to reinvent myself in my 50s, to come down to LA and to become successful in my 50s is, to me, a really huge thing.
Took courage.
Well, it took courage, but I think that the rule is that you shouldn't be afraid to pursue what you're passionate about.
Right. Well, only because you mentioned Scarlett Johansson. Was there a designer or an actor that walked in and you said, I cannot believe they are in my store?
Tom Ford. He smells so good.
I didn't see that one coming. Okay. Tom Ford, he smells
he's
good. Tell us about that.
He's so beautiful. And the thing is that when people come in the store, I don't know if it's my energy or what, they're so disarming. And I said something rather rude when I realized it was him. I was so startled. I made reference to the fact that I peed in my pants. And he got such a chuckle out of that. And we got to talking about, I said, you know, I saw you speak at a lecture series at USC. And he said he didn't remember that because that was during the time he was using substance abuse. And that I said, oh, really, how long have you been clean and sober? And he said 5 years. And the fact that he was talking, you know, at such a raw level, I was really impressed, to be honest with you.
Did you tell me he smelled good?
I didn't. But all the girls in my store agree that he's probably the best smelling man we've ever had in the store.
All right. So I asked you when we were talking, what was the price range? Listen to this in your store, like $10 up to $50,000 to $150,000. What is $150,000 and why is it $150,000?
Well, I actually have two things that are $150,000. So not to scare people by the price points, but part of my joy is to acquire true treasures that I sell to museums and private collectors. And the one piece that is 100% mine, I have another piece that's in partnership, is a hat that I bought in North Carolina. It's a hat and a scarf. And you know, it's funny how the universe works in different ways. I'd gone to a museum exhibition to honor an ex-employee who mounted it in New York. It was really exciting to me. Well, fast forward 6 months later, I was in North Carolina. This is like 22, 23 years ago. And I walk into this antique store and I see this scarf and this hat and I thought, no. So I asked how much it was. It was $350, which for what it was expensive. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I bought it. I took it to Paris with me. I went to 2 museums, asked them if they had any opinion on whether it could have been Delaunay, because there was no signature, no label. And they said it very well could be, but you need to contact the expert on Delaunay, who happened to be in America, a woman named Sherry Buckborough. Anyway, long story short, 2 years later, I get a certificate of authenticity from Jean-Louis Delaunay, who is the grandson to Sonia Delaunay, authenticating it as a one-of-a-kind artwork from his grandmother. And her pieces are so rare that that's one of the pieces that's $150,000.
Who knew? Go
It's
in
a
your
work of art.
closet quickly.
Yeah.
And do you share that so they get it Mondays and Wednesdays and you get it Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah.
But you don't let that out.
No, that I have an acid-free tissue paper.
Do you go
in a
in your
safe
closet
place.
and stare at it every
I
so?
take it out to admire because, you know, it's like a work of art. You want to live with it. You don't want to have it, you know, sequestered.
Will you invite us over and
Sure.
we'll just stare? We won't touch
For
it.
viewing, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're here at the Golden Door. Every week, not every week, almost every week, there are women here. We all come to invent ourselves. We go out hoping we're going to lose 5 pounds and start something new and try something new. That's part of this experience here. At least that's part of the experience here for me. So if you bring clothes into that equation to shift your reality about the way you look at yourself, what do you suggest as a way to start? So, you know, I'll come in here in my black sweats, but I want to go out and then be fabulous. So.
That's a really good question. I think everybody has an image of who they are with clothing on. And I think that it's exciting to experiment with things that you don't necessarily, you've never really tried on before. And I'm not saying go to a vintage clothing store,
Right.
although that's a great way to go because like in my store we cover the entire 20th century, so there's a lot of different silhouettes. But if you go to any store, be brave, try something different on and see, you know, give yourself a few minutes to kind of let it settle in and see if it's something that you can live with.
And what about shopping in your own closet? I mean, I have not put this dress on probably since I wore it in the 80s. I put it on today. First of all, I was thrilled that it fit. We don't have to explain that. I tried it on without the Spanx and it was still good and I was great. And I put on my 40s earrings and my 40s jewelry. Do we have a wealth of things in our own closets?
Yeah. I don't remember, 4 years ago, we did an event called Out of the Ordinary, and it was, the whole purpose was to repurpose things that we have in our closet that may have moth holes or may be ugly by today's standards. And so I invited 9 designers, and I gave them different things to repurpose, and then we auction the items on eBay. But what was so exciting about that was I got ideas of how to transform things that I didn't really have any use for anymore. And the part of the business that I love the most, besides watching people almost transform when they put on beautiful things, is the fact that we're one of the original green businesses. It's all about recycling, and you know, it's good for Mother Earth, and I think that, you know, more people need to appreciate what they own already.
So is that a mix and match thing? So I'm not going to walk out all 40. So
I
how
call
do you-
that time warp dressing,
Right.
and there are a lot of people that do time warp dressing. It's not, I don't relate to that.
Right.
But well, I mean, it could be as simple as a brooch that you put on a blazer that's vintage. But yeah, I think your body is a canvas, and how you choose to paint that canvas is a form of self-expression. So have fun with it.
All right, specifically about vintage, I mean, should we all go to our relatives' houses and root around
Raid
the
their
closets?
closets, yeah.
Right, and do people do that? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
okay, so that sounds good. So many women have to dress seriously at work, even though it's not as serious as the 80s with the bows and all that. Should they have a more casual approach on the weekend? Should they mix it up, or is it a rut, or?
I don't know. I think dress codes have changed. I mean, suits for the most part are out. You know, matchy suits. I have fun. I don't know. I say put on whatever feels good and looks good. A really great experiment is, if you're not 100% sure, just take a selfie and look at it from a distance, because sometimes when you see yourself in a photograph, you get a completely different perspective. So
Can be frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, really frightening.
yeah.
And what do you do? Because we all are, who has a dress in their closet they're just never going to wear again?
But they're not willing to let go of.
And you're not willing to let go of.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Take a picture of it and donate it, or what do you do?
Well, it totally depends. I think most LA-based vintage clothing stores are really looking for things that are young and sexy, because that seems to be the, you know, the common need. But just because something's a Chanel doesn't mean that it's desirable. It has to be a certain silhouette and a certain look.
Right, but we're attached to it, and when it fit, I mean, we'll get
If
to
it
the
fits,
show
you
and tell
keep it.
part, but I have a zero Kenzo suit that I wore now that wouldn't fit my thigh, but I just can't get rid of it.
Well, the first thing is, if you don't want to spend the time reselling it,
I don't want to sell it. I'd be happy to find somebody who it fit.
well, okay,
Right.
that's one thing. The other is to find a charity that has good percentage of where the donation actually goes to the charity, and donate it to that. And you know, I think that just for single items, it's not worth the concept of reselling.